expect Rob to practice on Monday?
There's a possibility, so we're hoping. I know he's making tremendous progress, Adam, so we are hopeful that might be the case, but I won't know that until the next couple of days.
With the uncertainty with him and the 7 offensive linemen on the roster, do you expect to add to that position group?
Yeah, we are. We've had some dialogue with some guys that have been cuts, whether it's adding the practice squad or the 53. I'll probably have some updates from Les here pretty shortly.
Is Puka practicing in full?
He is. Yeah, he's feeling good. And I think the great thing about him is that he came in ready to go. I thought he was in such good shape, he and Cooper, from the beginning of camp. Even though he had missed some time, you could see that physically he's really sturdy. I think he's feeling really good, even just in routes on air today, just the transitions and then some of the stuff in the team period. So he'll be ready to roll.
You guys are getting a long look at Jonah at center. Do you think that's something you're going to roll with?
I think so. Yeah. So he's done a great job. He's got that personality, and the beauty of it is you've got really 2 guys that can play center or guard with Steve or Jonah. Jonah, hasn't been out here, so we've really wanted to make sure that if that was a route we went, that we ended up giving him all the reps, especially because of the noise in the atmosphere, and he's done great.
He's played in the past, right?
He has, yeah. If you talk to him, he said that's more of his natural position, and he was great about it because he said we're playing him like a guard anyways. So
you would lean towards going with him as a center for the opener? And
that's
left guard?
That's a good possibility.
Yes. And in terms of Rob, you've talked about return to practice as opposed to return to performance.
Sure.
Even if he is able to get back next week, would you feel confident having him go into a game?
I would, just because you don't minimize the importance of practice and all the repetition that has occurred. And I think before I say anything, I'm tremendously confident in Warren McClendon and Joe Noteboom and the growth and maturation that we've seen from them in the meantime of Rob's absence. But Rob he's a veteran. I think he understands what does he need to feel like, and he's able to do a lot to stay in shape. Now, to simulate football, game-like movements, and all the different things that occur, I think there's a conversation that would be had, and I do trust him, but it's because of his experience and his maturity, and I wouldn't rule it out is basically the best way that I would look at it, Gary.
Sean, between now and next week, do you need to see more from Puka, or are you pretty confident?
I think you want to just see him get his normal workload, to be able to build up, to have the stamina. The good thing is we go 6 deep at receiver, and so you feel good about Puka. I was really encouraged, like I was telling Sarah earlier, just how he looks. And then, we'll have a bonus day on Monday, and then we'll go through our normally weekly rhythm with the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and expect him to be a full participant.
You guys opened the season in the same place last year ended. When you think back to that game, what stands out to you?
The atmosphere, the environment. I was really proud of our group, like I talked to you guys after that game, but it's a great football team. They were very close to, making it to the Super Bowl. They were one of the Final Four, and they were consistently one of the best teams throughout the course of the season. And so they've added really good players. They're very, very well coached. They play tough. But I remember it was a really good back and forth game. I definitely remember a couple of the decisions that I would want back, but you want to be able to learn from it. And, the NFL, the beauty of it is you get an opportunity to compete at the highest stage, and that atmosphere and environment was pretty special. So we're excited about the opportunity.
Sean, will you guys rehire an assistant special teams coach?
We will. Yes, we'll add somebody. We're in the process of looking at that. And so wish Chili Davis the best. It was more of just kind of a coaching thing. We were looking to go a little bit different direction with somebody to work hand in hand with Chase Blackburn. And so I'll have that for you guys the next time I talk to you.
Sean, how different is this week? Because in a normal, if it's week 3 to 4, you have that week to prepare.
Yeah.
Where here you kind of have 2 weeks and really an off season.
Feels like forever.
Does it?
It does. We need it. We've had some injuries, so getting some guys back, we'll take that time. But what you don't want to do is feel like you're preparing for the opener forever either. We were able to have a good practice today. Some of it was as a result of some of our injury situations, and just our pure numbers at the offensive line. But I think it was a good way for us to be able to possibly push one another, get some of the things off that we would still do, even though Detroit's differently offensively and defensively, schematically. Got a little putting contest going on back there, but it'll be good. I think this 3-day break comes at a good time for the players. It's good for coaches to be able to get around their family and kind of just take a deep breath before this thing gets going. And so we're excited, and I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of time myself.
You mentioned last week Quentin Lake's acuity for the game and the studying that he did when he was hurt. For a player that's going to be in the position that he will be, how, especially some of that short area stuff and the emotions and those types of things, how much study, if you could quantify it for us, like really goes into understanding
I think
what
it's
offense they're doing?
it's a lot, and especially with some of these offenses that make you change the picture right before the snap, and Detroit's certainly one of those. But I think the biggest thing I would say about him is the game makes sense. He's really accumulated a big body of work in terms of his knowledge. Like, he understands the intent. He understands the different tools that we can activate and why we're activating those tools within different coverage contours and concepts. He sees the game like a coach. He understands really all 22, but definitely from an all 11 perspective defensively. And that's why a guy that plays safety is able to so seamlessly transition to star. So many things happen so quickly. You get in a lot of different conflicts now with the run fits, with some of the leverage responsibilities in the pass game, and he's a stud. He's done a great job. I'm really proud of him.
It's warm out here today, but next week's going to be even hotter.
Is that right?
It's going to be 100, I think, on Wednesday.
Oh, baby.
Do you allow the heat to dictate? I know you've talked about the importance of walkthrough, but do you allow the heat to dictate now that you guys are here?
No, I mean, I guess we'll feel it. We'll have to answer that later on. The hope and anticipation is that we're able to go through our normal trajectory of the walkthroughs leading into practice, because there is a cycle of how you put in a game plan and how you really learn it, own it, and then be able to digest it, and you do it in a jog through setting, and then you're able to kind of speed it up. And that's what we would love to be able to do. Our guys handled Houston pretty well. I know it wasn't maybe that hot. We caught them on a good day, but the hope is to be able to keep a normal rhythm to what you guys were accustomed to seeing at Cal-Lu.
That question was really for them, not me.
Touche.
Do you have to talk to, is there anyone on the staff you have to consult with?
Yeah, Reggie's scared. No. Yes, those are all things that we take into consideration, but that's why you guys have seen us move stuff up a little bit earlier, but there wasn't the installation that a normal game plan entails, and so it'll feel very similar with the exception of a couple little things here and there to what you guys are accustomed to on a normal Wednesday through Friday weekly rhythm that we would have last year.
How do you feel about the kicking game going into the season?
I feel good. I think there's been improvements that have been made. I think we've gotten competitive opportunities, and then want to see us consistently and continuously improve throughout the year. And I do feel really good about our specialist situation. I like the demeanor of Cardi. I think Alex Ward have really gotten better in his second year, and Ethan Evans both as a punter, ability to be able to kick off for us if need be. And then what he can do as a holder that's something that you don't take for granted. I think he's really improved in that area.
What improvement have you seen from Kobie Turner both on the field and from a leadership perspective?
I think just maturity in general. He got voted by his peers as a captain, and it was there was a lot of support. Almost unanimously for him. And I wasn't surprised, but he's got a nice natural way about himself, incredibly secure in himself. But I also think when you are knighted by your teammates, that almost empowers you a little bit more, where you get that affirmation. And his communication, his command, his ownership, his ability to positively push his teammates, those are the things that I've seen. I've seen a guy that, came in where he was a little bit behind in training camp because of a soft tissue injury that he had early on that limited his opportunities. And I think he's hitting his stride at the right time, and I'm really couldn't say enough good things about Kobie Turner. Okay? Thanks, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
How's the first week out here been for you?
Oh, it's been fantastic. A little bit hotter. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit hotter, but the facility's fantastic. Everything's new. Obviously, like you guys can see, the fields are amazing. We got this big turf field over here, which is fantastic. Weight room's bigger, training room's bigger, so everything is an upgrade. So it's been nice.
What did it mean to you to be voted the team captain?
Oh, it was amazing. I really think this, though, it's such a blessing for everybody in the building. I wouldn't be in the position that I am today without the people in the building, the coaches, the staff, the players. And for them to recognize me as, a captain on the team, it was such a blessing. But, credit to them for believing in me, respecting me, and, seeing me as, such a high-value player. It really is nice. It's a blessing. But like I said, I wouldn't be in the position I am today without them.
How different is this week from any other normal regular season week, because it's an extra week where you're not playing anyone?
Yeah. I think for us is, you lock in mentally. Obviously you kind of want to balance the physicality aspect. We had one day in pads, which was nice to really get that, physical part. But, you kind of want to lead into, the game plan of next week. Obviously we had the Detroit Lions, but nothing too crazy. Obviously we came out here, was a fantastic practice, had a lot of energy, but we got to make sure our bodies are ready for next week so that we have everybody ready to go on Sunday.
You were on
talk
the
about how
field.
you continue to rely on your father
Man.
just improve your stature in the league?
Yeah, he's my guy. That is my guy. That's my role model. He's somebody I will forever look up to, not only as a dad, obviously, but really as a player too. When I found out I was captain 2 days ago, I called him right after, and it was a funny story. It was like he said, Q, I didn't get captain until I was in my 10th year in the league, and I was like, wow, that just put things in perspective to me. But he is, an amazing father, an amazing, obviously, player, really just an amazing person in general. But I really lean on him for the game of football. Like, learned a lot, how to see different things. I mean, I can go on and on about, how great he is, but yeah, that's my guy.
You were on the field for the last first down the Lions got in that playoff game where they were able to take a knee. What do you remember?
Oh, you're talking about on me?
What do you remember from
It's
that?
second and 9. Yeah.
What do you remember from that moment?
Everything. That play has been I kept that play in my memory bank just because not only was it on a friend in high school, a competitor when we went to college, rival, and then obviously playing him in the league. I'm talking about St. Brown. Like, it puts a fuel on my fire because it's like I feel like I could have done something to at least maybe, just maybe, help the team maybe get to a third down or done something where the last play wasn't on me, because obviously they took a knee after that. I've talked about it with my dad. I've talked about it with the coaches, stuff I could do in that situation. But I think about it all the time because it's like, you always think about what if. What if I made a play? What if I, stopped them like that? What if we ended up getting the third down, stopping on third down, they had to punt it? You never know. Obviously, you can't harp on it too much, but you learn your lessons. You go through experiences for a reason. And obviously, now I know what to do. But, yeah, I think about that all the time. I think about it because we had the team. Like, if we got past the Lions, I think we were going to go to the Super Bowl. Really, honestly, truthfully. I full-heartedly believe that. It is what it is. So we have another chance, this season to do great things, and I think we are going to do great things. So our plan is looking to week 1 against the Lions and start 1-0. That's it.
Is it weird to go back to the place for the start of the season that you guys ended it?
No, I think it's awesome. We start right where we left off. It gives us a chance to really, anybody that has something to prove, anybody that didn't get a chance to do what they did in that last game, we have every opportunity to do what we want to in that game. Obviously, our goal is to go in there, play fast, play physical, and come out with a victory, obviously. But I'm excited. And Sunday Night Football, you can't beat that. You cannot beat that. You can't beat that.
You went up, you trained against Amon-Ra this summer. Did that play come up or?
Nah, it did it. See, because what I realized is it's a game plan thing. I had gotten that route 4 times in a row. 4 times every week I got that route. I got it against the Saints. I got it against the Giants. I got it against the Commanders. So I had been getting that route. It's kind of a coverage beater in a sense, but now I know you have to play. You might have to play your leverage a little bit different. But no, I didn't see that route when I went against them. Obviously, the reps that we had were great. Helped my man-to-man skills a lot, but didn't necessarily see that exact route. Yeah.
Last one. With Kobie Turner also getting voted the captain, obviously doing that in his second season, what makes him special as a leader?
I mean, the young guys must be doing a great job over here now. Kobie Turner, I think for him, being around Aaron Donald, being around, that elite caliber, I mean, all you can do is elevate. All you can do is become a great player, and I think that's exactly what he did. And obviously, for the same reason why I got voted captain, obviously, is the same reason why he got voted captain too. A young pro, a professional. Like, we have a lot of professionals. He's a young professional. Obviously, he's a grown man, but when you come into this building, we have so many professionals that carry themselves the right way, are respected by not only the coaches, but the players and the staff. And I personally think he should run Defensive Rookie of the Year. I really think he should have. But he has a big year ahead of him. Obviously, he's a great human being. He can sing too. He's multi-talented in so many different ways. But great human being, great player, and nothing but big things coming from him.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
That's always been one of the biggest honors, to be able to have the people who are in there seeing the work that you put in on a day-to-day basis, and have them make the decision that, I'm somebody who's worthy of leading this team. So it's really one of the greatest honors I could ever have, and I'm just so grateful for this team to allow me to build into this role, and I'm excited to take it and, lead this defense, lead this team to a really good year.
What's the responsibility for you that comes with that honor?
Yeah, I think it's leading in a similar way to what I always have been. Now I have a C on my chest, but it's about that play-to-play communication. It's about building those relationships with the guys to where if somebody's off, now I can be that bridge between coach and player and be able to talk to them and make sure that their head's in the right space to be able to get the job done that we need to have done. So I think it comes down to, again, those relationships, that on-the-field communication, off-the-field communication with coaches, and that's something that's already been building up throughout this offseason, being able to talk with Coach McVay, with Coach Giff, with Coach Shula, and to really just be a voice of our guys, and to really lead them and kind of mold the type of energy, the type of team that we want to be. So it's a really huge responsibility, and I'm super excited to carry that.
Playing alongside AD, how did playing alongside AD cultivate and sharpen your leadership?
Yeah, I think the ways that he led, when you think of leaders, you think of really, really vocal people. He's really vocal when he needs to be, but he was always one of those guys that was just follow me. And if my example is worth following, then other people will. And so that's kind of what I've taken from him is, okay, make sure that my example is worth following. Not only is it going to bring me success, but if I'm doing something that other guys want to follow along, then I can encourage them and bring them into, my process. I'm going to have them gain success as well. And then with him, it was a lot of on-the-field communication too. Little subtle things, so where we talk a lot in practice so that once we're out on the field, we don't have to talk too much. But everybody knows what's kind of going on, and in particular for me, being able to work alongside him, that I knew what he was thinking and what he wanted. So I think a lot of that communication does go a long way.
What are some of the things that you gained with your off-season training with Al Carson?
Yeah, so Pootie is the guy. He is very particular. You have a lot of D-line trainers that just kind of put you through a bunch of drills and your working moves that you already have, and maybe they have a couple of notes. But he really broke it down to like the specific body parts, the way that your hand is moving, the way that I interact with an offensive lineman or an attacker is gonna what that's gonna create, what type of response they're gonna have, how I can beat it. It's always about countering the counter, and so I'm gonna continue working with Pootie. He's I should actually be able to see him before this Detroit game just to walk through some stuff. He's gonna be out there, but he is a guy. He's really smart. I'm really, really grateful that AD put me in contact with him, and I'm looking forward to hopefully bringing what he's taught me and bringing that into the scope of what this team asked me to do, and hopefully that shows up on Sundays as well.
When you think back to the playoff game in Detroit, you were on the field for that last first down. What do you remember from that moment?
Yeah, I remember we were in a 4-minute, and in our head it was, we're going to get the ball back to the offense. Staff is going to catch fire, Pook's going to catch fire, Coop's going to catch fire. They're going to do some of the things that they'd already been doing earlier in the game. And so never at any point during that game was it like, we're going to lose this. It was always, we're going to win this. We're just going to get this stop. And having that big third down conversion, I'm pretty sure it was for them. And then that last, them taking a knee, it was just like, I was kind of in shock. I didn't know that it was real. But I am just super excited now I keep kind of hyping myself up about it, to be able to go back to the place where it all ended and, just pick up right where we left off, and hopefully with a much better outcome. But that's definitely a moment that kind of sticks into your mind. It was cool for the Lions and that organization and that city to have that win, but it was heartbreaking. So looking forward to being back there next Sunday.
And did you know that was your last time playing with Aaron?
He had kind of hinted at it, but I feel like I thought that I could, kind of convince him, or that somebody could convince him. But I definitely knew we were coming into the locker room, and I'm just destroyed, because I'm like, this could be the end for him. I wanted to be able to, help us go all the way for him and for a lot of the other guys on that team, and of course for myself as well. And I'm coming back in the locker room and I'm crying. I'm just beat up, and I'm like, and I'm pissed off. And he's like, you got a lot more football left to play. And he's sitting there smiling. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like, this might be the end here. But yeah.
And how does it feel knowing that he's kind of passed that torch, especially with the captaincy onto you?
Yeah, it feels really good. I've been able to talk with him in the off season and, kind of pick his ear with some wisdom and that relationship I know is something that's going to continue to go forward even though he's not on this team. So to have him be able to kind of like pass down the torch to us and to me definitely means a lot. And now it's just, what can I do with it?
When you consider what leadership entails and requires, which person or book has been most influential in your philosophy around leadership?
That's a great question. I've read a lot of books, and really a lot of those, or a couple of books, but the books that I do read are kind of around that mindset, whether it be Relentless by Tim Grover, Winning by Tim Grover. Those have been really great books that have just shaped the way that I've perceived things. Something that I'm reading right now is Extreme Ownership, and I think that's by Jocko Willink and somebody else. And that book is just talking about, like, if you're the leader, if you're the person who's over everything, it doesn't matter if somebody under you messed up. It's ultimately, it's your L to take, and your responsibility. And it's about how when you go and take that extreme ownership, how that allows everybody else to also take extreme ownership. And so that's something that I'm trying to apply. I'm on the daily. I just started reading it, but just making sure that with anything that it regards to my D-line or my defense or now, my team or our team, being able to take ownership and then being able to go back and fix whatever the issue is, but making sure that it's coming from an approach of, I'm in this with you guys. Like if somebody else messed up, okay, then I didn't communicate good enough. If we didn't work a game well enough, then we got to figure out what the issue is. But it starts with me and starts with the introspective look to make sure that we can all look introspectively to be able to put the best output out there on the field. So
some of the other offensive and defensive linemen also worked with Kobie. I saw this offseason. What do you think the value is in just having that, kind of external perspective? Yeah,
so being able to bring Kobie out here out to LA. He came out to LA with us. Was really, really good, and being able to get that group together to work with them was really good because now we're all speaking the same language. Some of the moves that maybe somebody saw me do last year, now it's explained kind of from the base root, or now some of the things that I might be crafting, or some of the things that Bobby or Desjuan or that Braden might be crafting. Now you get to break it down and be able to speak that same language. And then another great thing that Kobie did was he was also working with some of our O-linemen too. And the last couple of days we were able to just go D-line versus O-line, and not in a sense where it's, full speed, go, but it's really technique. Okay, this is what he's teaching the O-line. This is how you counter this particular move that he taught the D-line. Now, how do you counter the counter? How do you set up different things? And it helps to slow the game down. It helps you to know now where you feel different things, how to respond. And so now if I see somebody working a similar move, or now if somebody else sees me working a move, they know, okay, where did this go wrong and how can you get better? So we're all speaking the same language. Being able to see a lot of these practices be able to go against each other and see kind of what the response creates and how to respond to that response is really great. And I think it just builds up a lot of good team camaraderie too. Being able to work with the same guy, especially offense and defense, defensive line was really huge.
With Quentin Lake also being voted the captain, what stands out about him as a leader?
Yeah, he's a really vocal guy. He's a guy that knows his stuff. And so I just can't say enough too about his character, the way that he carries himself, his energy, man. I'm just super excited to be able to lead this defense alongside him, to get somebody from the front end and the back end, and to kind of have those worlds combined, because what we do is, predicated off of the back end covering. And so now to be able to have that communication and them covering, they don't have to cover as long if we're getting active. And so to be able to have that leadership, that two-pronged leadership along the defense is going to be great as well.
Kobie, two-parter.
Nice.
Unrelated. This being kind of the final day before game week prep starts, I just wanted to get your assessment on how it's been for you guys as a team going through this period, and then secondly, just your impressions of Jared Verse and Braden Fisk individually and together.
Yeah. Okay, let's start from the jump. Okay, how this team has kind of handled this period. of course, these past couple of days are some of the hardest days, really the hardest days in the schedule. And having to say goodbye to some guys that you got really close with or who you thought really had a good shot is hard. But just the way that we've continued to stack days, right? Like there's different adversity that comes up in a practice, whether people go down for a little bit in practice and now you're playing with less bodies, whether it's people get tired. Now we're in Houston and it's hotter than normal. Just being able to respond to adversity, to continue to try to take steps as a team, and now ultimately realizing, like you said, like next week it's really go time. Like for me, each step of the way this week, the 53 comes out, the captains come out. It's all built up towards September 8th. We're ready to go and play ball. And so I think everything has kind of been building towards that. Us as a team, we've been building towards that as well. So that's something that's super exciting. And then to talk about JV and Fiske, those guys, they bring a lot of energy. I'm sure you guys have heard whenever Jared gets anywhere near a quarterback, he's talking. But just the energy, I'll start with Jared, that he brings, the pass rush ability that he brings, the aggressiveness, even in the run game. He's going to be somebody who should be really special for us. And now we're starting to communicate really for us, one on that defensive front. And once we start not taming anybody's pass rush or anything like that, but being able to communicate so that we all know where our ops are, and to be able to execute for us I think we're going to be a really good front and a front to be reckoned with. And I think JV is going to have a very huge part to play with that. And then Fist too, he's just, to me, he's been very consistent day in and day out. He's working his craft. He's locked in. I see his process a lot more personally and intimately than I see Jared's, just because we're in the same meeting room. We're doing the same lift. But he's a guy who so far has been the same guy every day, and I hope he stays that way. And really, I know that he will. And really, both of those guys, their stories resonate with me. Like I remember Jared when he was playing at Albany and watching his tape transferring up to Florida State, or when you talk about Fisk going from Western Michigan up to Florida State. These are guys who have, started at the bottom, so to speak, and have worked their way up. And I have a lot of respect for the way that they approach the game, the way that they're starting to see things, the way that they're understanding that this defense and this team is more than just an individual person. It's how do you fit in the grand scheme, and when it's time to go, when the lights are on, those guys are gonna, have a good little gleam in their eye, and they're gonna be ready to go. So I really can't say enough about those two. I'm really excited to see what they bring to this team in the season, but already they've brought so much, and I just can't wait to continue to grow as a defensive front and as a D-line unit with those two.
Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Yes, sir.